Good morning. It's Sunday, the 3rd of February. Different shirt today, change from Bungle. It is a really lovely morning out. It's not as grey and misty as it was yesterday morning, but yes, it's really, really blue, very cloudless out there. So I'm going to go for a nice walk in a moment. Yeah, just to reflect on the morning. So I woke up again. I mean, my mornings are solid now. I'm 5:30 waking up, getting out here by 6 each morning to write, which is fantastic. I only finished one component this morning, so rather than finishing two, which is my goal and which I've been doing pretty well towards. But it makes sense because this component ended up being 1,000 word um, beast of a component, which I'm really happy with. It's one of my favourite components that I've written so far, and it's just got its own internal structure that needed the 1,000 words to do what it needed to do, and yeah, but that's why I didn't get two finished because I would usually be doing two lots of 400 or 500 words, and instead I just did one big one, um, which is fine because I'll try in some capacity to not make uh, the next component or two as long, but they'll be as long as they need to be, really. There's no real point in trying to restrain them if they need to do what they need to do and say. So that's all fine. I know I had a little look this morning at timing and potential end dates for if I'm able to stick to this a two component a day schedule. And certainly, if I'm able to stick to doing two components a day for the projected number of components that I've got for the entire novel, I should finish up in June, um, which is very exciting to think that that might be the case. And if I do it at one day, one component a day, then that will push it back, probably maybe more towards the end of the year, maybe October, November, which would still be just finishing this book is going to be the reward that I'm after rather than necessarily hitting a particular date. But in saying that, I know my lifestyle is going to change considerably after the second half of the year in terms of work, and I do need to keep that in mind and focus on, using the time that I've got, and certainly also thinking that, just keeping that level of focus and that level of routine and energy for a period. It's a marathon that you need to manage, and I think 6 months is manageable. A couple of years is not. Um, so that's another reason to get it done while it's all in my head. The vision's there. Make it happen while you can. So yeah, but I do have to go a bit easy on myself because I would love to try and squeeze a second session of writing in this morning to finish another component so that I can say I've got two done for the day. But there's other things to do, and the morning has passed. The morning I've used the time that I've got, and I do worry that anything further that I would try to do now, knowing that the rest of the world is awake, even though I said the other day that I can write in more circumstances now, and it doesn't always have to be this um, pre-conscious, solitary moment of the day when the rest of the world is sleeping. I still feel, at least on mornings like this, I've also used lots of words that have gone out, and I think, just maybe I'm fooling myself. Maybe I do just want to sit down and do another component and know that I do a good job. But like I said, there's things to do. I want to go for a walk before it gets too hot. There's a few chores to be done. So yeah, I've just got to be at peace with that, which is difficult for me sometimes with some of the intense patterns of getting stuff done that I put myself into. But it's just such a joy to have looked back over this component that I wrote this morning, and think about what it is and to think when I sat down 2.5 hours ago to start to write it, um, I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if it was just going to be a 200, 300 word thing describing a particular thing. And it was only because of the incredibly chancy consideration that a particular thought came into my head before I started writing, completely unrelated to the writing and never meant to inform the writing. And it was just a thing that I was thinking, and then that became the structural heart, the architecture of the entire component, which is really lovely that I was able to take that and turn it into something that worked in that way. But it could have been something completely different. And I think I really like reflecting on that because it I think it takes some of the critical edge off reading back over those passages of writing and thinking, and wondering if it's good enough and if it's this or it's that, and just sort of just reveling a bit in the magic, but just the idea that something like that could come about through such synchronistic intentions. To think that I couldn't tell that this was going to happen to lead to this. It's generated a piece of writing that I'm really happy with on any other given day, any other given time, would not have come to exist like that. And that doesn't inherently mean that it's good writing that needs to remain in the book, but to me, in the more naturalistic way that I'm writing and thinking now, it pretty much does stand up to say, you know what, this lives in the book, and while it might have some tinkering later, the heart of it remains, which is a great feeling. So that's where I'm at for the day. I mean, maybe just random mention, or just tangential mention that the health patterns for me are really good at the moment. Sleep is never been better. I'm getting back into some really good exercise patterns, walking each day, eating better than I have for a long time. Um, so I'm just getting some really good stuff happening again, which is what I wanted to do last year and what I did do, but to a really quite extreme extent by getting involved in CrossFit, gym, and health eating associated with that replaced what I'm doing now with writing. So it became my morning, and it's lovely to know that I'm able to keep those healthy patterns, while also doing this morning writing. I faded a bit then because I could just hear some lovely church bells. I don't know if they're coming through on the audio recording, but I really like that sound of a morning on a Sunday morning while I'm here writing. So that's it. Have a good day. I will be back tomorrow morning. I've got a few different things on this week in terms of a bit of travel and such, as I do for the next couple of weeks. Really, there's always at least two days in which I'll be traveling. So, but not to fear. We'll keep the good patterns going, good sleep, and we'll progress from there. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.